Hey, you guys. Hi, guys. It's me, Lonnie Clark, Nuts for Art. I know it's been a really long time since I've done a live video. I thought I would do a live video today to talk about how insane the planet is right now. We had Fukushima, all those bags in Fukushima, over 2,000. What they're saying is they had 2,267 bags sitting in one location that got washed away, right? That's what they're saying. And they said 6 bags. How did they know it was 6 bags? Like, that is just so insane. 6 bags plus how many more bags went to the river? It is beyond comprehension. Those bags have been washed way all over the place in Fukushima, all over Fukushima Prefecture, all down the river. The whole place just flooded out. And they're saying that the bags didn't break open. Some of them did, some of them didn't. The fact is, they have no idea what they're doing there. And the idea that we're not speaking out against the Olympics on a regular basis, saying how insane it is to have the Olympics there, is beyond comprehension. I honestly do not know how. I saw an advertisement about that. I don't even know the athlete's name, the young woman. She's won more Olympic medals or more medals in gymnastics than anybody else. Strong, beautiful young woman. And she's going to go to the Snow Olympics. Like, they're going to go there and expose themselves to high level of radioactivity. And then in 2 to 3 years, they're going to start having issues and problems. I just don't know how our elected officials can ignore the facts, the scientific facts. It's as if, honestly, it's as if they targeted this typhoon towards Fukushima Prefecture to hit all those bags to, quote, get rid of the problem before the Olympics happens. That's what it feels like to me. Now, I know that's the tinfoil hat conspiracy that we have going on, right? But that is how it feels. And it is insane. I know I'm calling my elected officials and telling them, we need to stop the Olympics, and we need to stop any participation with the United States government in the Olympics in Tokyo right now. This is just completely insane. It's like Fukushima happened 3/11/11. That is going to be 9 years in March 11th. 9 years, nonstop contamination spewing into the Pacific Ocean. And they wonder why we can't repopulate the salmon, even though the state of Washington and the state of Oregon are pouring millions of dollars into repopulating the salmon and the fish. They can't keep up with the devastation. So check this out. I found an article, and I don't know how to screen share on this, but it's a very interesting argument because it talks about how humanity this comes from Forbes magazines. Now, you guys know who Forbes is, right? Forbes are the people who basically, I'm going to try to find the camera again. I don't know where I left the camera at. There I am. Forbes are the people that basically sell nuclear power to us all the time. And now they're telling us that we're officially in a new age of the anthropomorphizing age, where humanity definitely is officially changing the earth. I don't think in this studio, in this new live stream studio from YouTube's, that I can screen share anymore. So I'm going to look around and see if there's something on here that says maybe do something else, but I don't. So I'm not going to be able to share this article with you, but you can go to Forbes. It is a Forbes article dated, and I have to put my glasses on to read it. So I'm going to look a wee bit crazy, but I put my bumpers on top of my glasses. This was dated February 19th, 2018. Wow, so this is a year old. Forbes magazine, written by Brid Ain Parnell. She was a contributor in Science. Humanity officially starting the ruining of the planet in 1965. Welcome to the Anthropomocene era. Anthropomocene. That means anthropogenic, like humans messed it up. Researchers have pinpointed the moment. Listen to this. This will not shock you, but at least Forbes magazine is telling us, and it's been buried. Researchers have pinpointed the moment that humanity fundamentally changed our natural world, the beginning of a new epoch. The Anthropocene age began October and December of 1965, according to a study published in Scientific Reports, which found the marker of this new era at the heartwood of a strange and lonely tree on the island in the middle of the Southern Ocean. We were incredibly excited to find this signal in the Southern Hemisphere on a remote island because it was the first time it gave us a well-defined global signature for a new geological epoch that could be preserved in geological record. Thousands of years from now, this golden spike should still stand as a detectable marker for the transformation of the earth by humankind, said the lead author, Chris Turney of the University of South Wales. Listen to this. The golden spike is the radioactive carbon spike created by the culmination of atmospheric thermonuclear bomb tests in the 50s and 60s that appear through photosynthesis in a ring in the spruce tree known as the loneliest tree in the world. The closest tree is over 200 kilometers away on the Auckland Islands, while this one is by itself on the World Heritage Site of Campbell Island. Honestly, the language they use, it just makes me want to spit nails. The World Heritage Site. That's what they do when they something up with nuclear. They call it a heritage site, a legacy site. For some time, geologists have been talking about declaring a new epoch in the history of the world, dated from the time at which humanity's influence started to change the natural order of our planet. But there was no way to pinpoint when the age should start until now. The impact that humanity's nuclear weapons testing has had on the Earth's atmosphere provides a global signal that unambiguously demonstrates that humans have become the major agent of change on the planet. This is an important yet worrying finding, said Christopher Fogwell, head of the School of Geography, Geology, and Environment at Keele University. The global atomic bomb signal, captured in the annual rings of this invasive tree species, represents a line in the sand, after which our collective actions have stamped an indelible mark, which will define this new geological epoch for generations to come. Most of the atomic bombs were tested in the Northern Hemisphere, and the atmospheric radiocarbon peak can be seen in European trees in 1964. Now that researchers have found the peak in the Southern Hemisphere, nearly a year later, when it finally reached that half of the world, the signal has become a global, precise, and detectable marker. That means that it fits the criteria for signaling a new epoch. This seems somehow apt, for this extraordinary tree, planted far from its normal habitat by humans, has become a marker for the changes that we have made to the planet. Yet it is further evidence that if it was needed, that this new epoch, no part of our planet remains, that in this new epoch, no part of our planet remains untouched by humans, said co-author Mark Maslin of the University College of London. So I am going to click also on this other article because it takes us to the actual statement, right? So that's what the statement, the good thing about the camps, let me see what else they say in this. I read this article before I started talking to you guys. Various researchers from around the world have been talking about declaring a new geological epoch for the Anthropocene, called the Anthropocene. That's a kind of a hard word for me to say. So this is, why they think it's exciting is beyond me. I think it is absolutely outrageous. And maybe this is why, like, they're just not shocked that we have nuclear contamination everywhere, because that's what marks the change of the what do they call it? Anthropocene age, Anthropocene. One of you science people out there, tell me phonetically how to say that word, okay? Because I sure don't get it. You could leave it in the comments below. So, oh, hold on. I'm going to cough. Hold on. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Getting over that winter cough. I am dumbfounded that we are not freaking out that we are sending our best athletes to the Olympics next year. I mean, the 2020 Olympics is around the corner, and Tokyo just got splattered with nuclear contamination. Everywhere. It just went everywhere, all over the place, all over again. And as it turns out, I think a lot of it did probably go into the oceans, which means it's probably unrecoverable. And if they could recover it, the reason they haven't moved those bags is those bags are not meant to, like, be moved. Like, for real, they move them on pallets. They're plastic bags, for God's sake, sitting in radioactivity. So what does that tell you? They cannot move that stuff. The nuclear denial is just incomprehensible. Like, I don't know what people are thinking. I actually think that people intentionally don't talk about it and they intentionally forget about it. I think we hear this, like, my views, I get, like, when I do a video now, when I post up my radio shows, I get maybe 6 views, although I'm not sure I trust YouTube to tell us the truth about how many hits we're getting. When I see Dana Durnford and Kevin Blanche, who I personally know have more than the 20 or 30 views that they're getting, I know there's people out there that are dedicated to those people. They have hundreds of people. You know, they should be getting, they probably are getting thousands of hits, and they're just suppressing the numbers. That's my point. That's why, like, I don't care what the numbers say. I'm just going to keep putting up these videos. I'm like, this one today, this is actually, like, I am completely blown away that we are not freaking out, calling our congressmen, calling our senators, saying we cannot send our Olympic. We should be calling in fact, I hadn't done that. I hadn't actually thought of it. We ought to be calling the Olympic committees of the American Olympic. I guess I'm going to have to do some research. I have no idea who to call, but we need to call the Olympic Committee. We need to be calling the Olympic athletes. We need to be getting in touch with them as much as we possibly can. And not just getting in touch with them, but sending them real information. Like this bullshit where they said in Fukushima, and what they say, this came from the government over there, says, don't worry that only 6 bags fell into the river. 2 of them recovered. And, oh, yeah, they all stayed in place and the bags haven't opened. And this was the clincher. This cracked me up. They said they haven't seen a spike in radiation because the bags fell into the river. You know what they're really saying is that there's lots of radiation there already. So they haven't probably seen a spike in the radiation, because putting those bags, those little plastic bags, for years on end, do you think that that is enough to protect that area from radioactive contamination? If you do, then that's probably why we got this guy sitting in the White House, the criminal in the White House. If you believe that, you believe him. So I'm just, like, blown away. I honestly, you guys, this is an idea that I just can't stop thinking about. We are going to have the Olympics in Japan. Especially after now we have thousands of bags of not just the bags of radioactive waste. Think of all the radioactive water sitting at Fukushima and all the nuclear power plants all up and down that line. They all had nuclear waste in their tanks. And you know that to relieve the pressure of the storm coming in, they opened some of those tanks up, if not all of them, which is probably standard course for every single nuclear facility. They just dump out the water during the rainstorms. That would be my guess. And they just don't tell us about it. But at Fukushima, for sure, we know they got really hard hit. Sendai got really hard hit. And we're still planning on sending our youngest, brightest, smartest, strongest Olympians are going to the most toxic Olympic village on the planet. Imagine if Russia had said, "Oh yeah, we want to have a bid right after Chernobyl. Let's have the Olympics right here in Belarus." What? Could you imagine what the world would have done? It's as if we live in this culture where they just don't care that our children are going to die from nuclear contamination. And I, for one, I hadn't even thought about that, calling the Olympic Committee. I've been calling my stupid elected officials. Thank you very much. We'll tell you. Blah, blah, blah. But I actually think we ought to start calling the Olympic committees and the Olympic athletes, finding their agents' names, finding their trainers' names, and talking to them and just sending them documentation about the harm that comes from nuclear contamination. Send them the studies. I'm going to dig out some studies and just send it to them, because this is an outrage to their parents. We could find their parents' address and mail it to them at their house so that their parents could actually read what they're sending their kids into. I don't think people believe that the nuclear waste issue is really harmful to them. The only people that really understand it are the ones who have to live with it and can't move away. And there are many of those communities in this country, all around 3 Mile Island, all around St. Louis, all around Savannah River, all in Paducah. In fact, there's a lot of nuclear waste all over. What did this article say? That nuclear waste was the marker of when we started changing the history of our planet. And we are in complete denial and disregard for the harm it is causing. If nuclear contamination was not harmful, we would not have made a mark on, created a new epoch in our history of this planet. It's incomprehensible that we're just being quiet about it. I see that I'm at 17 and a half minutes, so I'm going to end here, you guys. I am going to post this up as part of my radio show because it's a message I want my radio show listeners to hear. I have no idea who listens to my podcast, but I'm just going to keep posting because we need to start speaking out. And I wish more of my listeners, the few that listen, I love it when you make your own videos. And I really appreciate it that Rich Wood has started his own podcast on YouTube. So that's great. And I don't know, you guys, I'm going to post up more regularly. You know, it gets intermittent with me because I'm busy with work and other activities. And I just can't spend the time babysitting YouTube, taking off all the nasty comments that come my way because I talk about the truth about nuclear. So, but I have to do this about the Olympic Committee. I mean, it's beyond comprehension. As well as, you know, posting it. I'm going to start posting it also, making videos about closing the Columbia Generating Station. That's been a lot of my talk on my radio shows. And Louisa Hamachek is actually going to take over the last nuke by herself. And so she'll be posting about closing the Columbia Generating Station also. But we're in a pickle, and if we don't demand it, they're just going to like murder us all. They don't care. Like, honestly, as much as, you know, Trader Trump tweeting about Syria, oh, well, bye-bye, Kurds, in a tweet, see you later. And already we've had slaughters and rapes and murders of women and children, and it's despicable. But he could care less. He goes to sleep every single night. That's exactly like the nuclear industry. They could care less how many of our children will die, how much of our future is mutated, how much. They created an epic. Forbes magazine is writing as if this is an honor for the humanity to be saying we create an Anthropocene epic, an Anthropocene epic. They're proud of themselves. The marker came when they did the nuclear testing, and it has been nonstop for the very reason that they don't test for plutonium in any of our food because they can't tell. Plutonium, the half-life, almost 25,000 years. So why bother? It's like all of the nuclear testing. So, wow, 3 minutes ago I said I was going to stop. So Ciao, you guys. Put your courage feet on. Thanks for watching. Put your comments and contributions below. I don't mind friendly, comments, but I actually, anybody who says they're pro-nuclear or we should be doing this or that for pro-nuclear and give it a chance, I'm just going to delete that. I am completely think nuclear should be taken off the table, and I'm not going to give it voice on my channel. And yes, that's very closed-minded, but you know what? Like I said, plutonium lasts for 25,000 years. Figure out a way to reverse all the nuclear waste and neutralize the harm that it is already doing. And then we can talk about having new nuclear, whatever you want. But at this point, the nuclear industry has been 100% irresponsible and murderous, and I will have nothing to do with them. So, ciao, you guys. Put your courage feet on. Talk to you later.